Bershus Marad Asra, Rabbi Myers, thank you so much for your very kind words. Where's Mort? Where's Mort? Mort is unbelievable. Mort is unbelievable. A huge yeshakayach to you for the work that you do. Melust nicht up. He's on top of everything. And when I had a stickler question, he was right back at me and absolutely insisted that this is going to be the way it's supposed to be. And anyone who has Mort involved is someone or an institution or a program that is blessed. So Mort, a huge yashikayach to you. We really appreciate the work you do. Want to acknowledge the presence of Gail, who is here. We go back a very long time. Actually, my wife Yocheved and Gail go back maybe 3, maybe even 4 decades. They're both therapists. They were together in a group and developed a relationship way back when. Gail and Reb Shia Zechrono Levracha were in our home in Brookline, Massachusetts. We were in your home in Teaneck, New Jersey. And the relationship is very important. I am incredibly honored to have been invited by Gail to participate in this program this evening. When the Twerskys moved to Teaneck, our other home is in Teaneck. We just recently bought a home, as you heard, an apartment in Yerushalayim. They lived 2 blocks from us. And Reb Shia would daven in the shul that I davened in Rinat Yisrael. And I heard dozens of Divrei Torah from him. He was the designated Bein Mincha L'Mayriv in the wintertime when there wasn't a rabbi to be seen. And he was always there, always with a little vort, something very significant and something very important. And what they all had in common is the theme that I would like to address this evening. And that is to understand and to appreciate that a commitment to a Torah traditional Jewish way of life has multiple components. Number 1, there is the formal compliance with the law. So we have a Maisa HaMitzvah. We have actions that we have to do. There are certain things we're not allowed to do. There's a lot that has to do with the act, with the Pu'ulas HaMitzvah, with the performance of the mitzvah. And we think about that and we engage in it with great detail. But Reb Shia taught us that that's not the end of the story. There's something called the Pnimius HaMitzvah. Pnimius means the interiority, the internal. It's not just the act, but it's the affect. It's not just the behavior, but it's the emotion. And the emotion is a very important part of what it means to be an Erlich Yid, what it means to be an observant Jew. Observance is not just external, but it's also internal. It's the way we carry ourselves. It's the way we relate in a relationship to the Rabbonu Shalom. It's not just like a robot can do whatever the robot does. We're not robots. We're human beings, and if we're human beings, we have to engage with the totality of our humanity and our relationship with God. And our totality means both our actions as well as our feelings. Feelings are centrally important. So when I was thinking about what to focus on, I wanted to use that as the point of departure and particularly look at the notion of preparation, the notion of hachana. Hachana means to prepare for a mitzvah. So I want to begin and end before I even get to the act of the mitzvah itself. I want to focus on preparing for the mitzvah. You understand very well, and it's very logical, that the more you prepare, the more you get out of something. If you just back into something, then it comes and it goes, and you don't really maximize that experience. Kol mi, we'll see shortly, kol mi shetoreach be'erev Shabbos, yochal b'Shabbos. If you prepare before Shabbos to have a Shabbos meal, then you'll have Einik Shabbos, then you'll have a wonderful Shabbos meal. If you don't prepare and you just walk right into Shabbos, so you don't have anything. You prepare for a wedding. You prepare for a wedding. How much time and effort and energy and focus and mazon zugen machlekes sometimes, how stuff comes up in the preparation for a wedding. And then the wedding means something because you've given it some thought. I want to focus on the hachana, on the preparation, on the feeling, on the emotion, on the internal, on the relationship. Then we could talk about how to actually go about and perform the mitzvah itself. I want to do this with 3 examples. I want to talk about the Yom Tov of Shavuos. So you'll have to remember if you are so inclined till next Shavuos. I want to talk about the Yom Tov of Sukkot, which is coming up more directly. And then I want to talk about Shabbos. Shabbos comes up every week, something to think about. So I hope all of you have a copy of the handout. Anybody not have, if you don't have a copy of the handout, please, this is for you. Could you please give the Noshin Tzidkonios in the back? Anybody else need a copy of, everybody has? You don't have to, I mean, I'm sure you have a nice relationship, but you don't have to share here in Nemun. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, are there more? Mort, are there any more? No, there are no more. I guess they're going to have to share. I meant... I meant well. Okay, who else needs? Who needs? Anybody?
Over here. We can share.
Over here. Okay. And you don't have to share. You can. All right, here. I want to begin with the bottom of the first page. And I also want to welcome the Eineke, the wonderful family members of Rabbi Shia who join us this evening. You should have Nechama and Deibishter will help them. You should have Naches and Gezind and wonderful brachos, Shefa brachos from your extraordinary family. I want to start with Shavuos, bottom of page 1. My goal in coming this evening is not to speak to you, but to learn together with you. This is an exercise in Talmud Torah. This is not a lecture. This is a shiur. We're going to learn together. I bring my sources so that we could work through these sources together. Tana Rabbanan, the bottom of the first page, a Gemara in Masachet Shabbos 86a. I was told that I need to translate it a little bit more than I would otherwise translate in front of such an august, extraordinarily learned body, for those who are right over here hiding in the glass, who might not have the blessing of such a distinguished lineage and background in Torah. So I'm going to perhaps use the kind of language that I hope you will find comfortable and accessible. Tana Rabbanan, our rabbis taught. B'shisha b'chodesh nitnu aseres hadibros liYisrael, Rabbi Yossi Omer b'shiva bo. There's a lot of Hebrew here. There's a lot of Hebrew. I'm going to translate everything. I want everybody to be comfortable on the same page, literally. Our rabbis taught there's a disagreement, and it's extraordinary. I don't know what day of the month of Sivan the Torah was given. It's actually a disagreement. It's a machlokes. The first opinion is b'shishay b'chodesh nitnu aseres hadibros liYisrael, the 6th of the 3rd month, Nisan Iyar Sivan. The month is Sivan. Is it the 6th of the month? And Rabbi Yossi says it was the 7th. Just stop for a second and ask yourself, that's really astounding. If I had to ask you, what do you think is the most significant, important, central, dispositive event that ever happened in Jewish history? It's the revelation. When Hashem gave us the Torah, we became an Amanivcha, we became a chosen people with a connection to God Himself. God gave us the greatest gift, and we don't know when it happened. We don't know what day it was. One says it was on this day, one says it was on that day. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rava, everybody says that on Rosh Chodesh, on the first of the month, they arrived in Midbar Sinai, in the Sinai desert, and everyone says the last line, B'Shabbos nitna Torah liYisrael, that the Torah was given on a Shabbos. And the disagreement is, so when was Rosh Chodesh? Is Rosh Chodesh on a Sunday? In which case, if you count till Shabbos, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, it's the 7th of the month. If Rosh Chodesh, if the first day of the month was on a Monday, Monday is day 1, and then you end up that Shabbos is day number 6. That's the machlokas, but everybody agrees. And for our purposes, I'm underscoring this. The Torah was given on a Shabbos. Now I want to ask what I consider to be an extraordinarily powerful question that addresses the entire concept of the holiday of Shavuos. Page 2. Rabbi Avraham Gombiner, who lived in the 17th century in Poland, who wrote a commentary on the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch, entitled the Magen Avraham. His commentary is found in all classic editions of this central 16th century Code of Jewish Law. Top right corner, middle of the third line, Umasha Hiksha Od. I have a question, he says, and listen to this question. Umasha Hiksha Od. Now, when is Shavuos? When do we observe Shavuos? We don't know. We don't observe Shavuos by the day of the month, because I don't know exactly when it is. How do I know? In Tafshin Pei Beis. How did I know 2 months ago when Shavuos was? Answer, you start on the second day of Pesach and you count 49 days, and then the next day, the 50th, is Shavuos, right? This is the way it was last year. Trust me, next year. That's the way it is. You count 50 days. Listen to the Magen Avraham's question. What day of the week did the Jews leave Mitzrayim? What day of the week was Yetzias Mitzrayim? What day of the week did the Jews leave Egypt? What day of the week? Thursday. They left on Thursday. They left Egypt on Thursday. The 15th of the month of Nisan that year was on a Thursday. How do I know? Because they told you in pre-K, they told you it was on a Thursday. How did the Morah know that it was on a Thursday? Because why is the Shabbos before Pesach called, what's it called? Shabbos HaGadol. So the commentaries say because a great miracle happened then. What was the miracle? Because that day was the 10th of the month, and on that day, God told the Jewish people in Egypt to take the Egyptian deity and tie it to the bedpost and get it ready to be sacrificed. And you know what? Nothing happened. Unbelievable, a miracle. To take the Egyptian deity and treat it with such apparent disrespect, paskunish, this is how you treat a deity? And nothing happened, a great miracle. Mipnei hanes shenasu ba. So if the 10th was on Shabbos, so the 15th, take off your shoes and socks, the 15th is on a Thursday. Now listen to this question. It was worth it for you to come this evening just for this question, if you never heard this question before. That's an Eisen Akasha. How do you say Eisen Akasha? It's an ironclad question. Ironclad question. I don't understand, he says. The Torah nitna b'yom nun aleph l'sfira. The Torah was given on the 51st. How do you figure that out? The hayatzu mi Mitzrayim b'yom hey. V'hatorah nitna b'Shabbos. They left Egypt on a Thursday. What's the second day of Pesach, the 16th of the month? What day of the week is that? Friday. Friday is day 1, right? The second day we start counting. So chime in along with me, math experts. Friday is day 1, Friday is day 8. Friday is day 15, 22, 29, 36, 43. Friday is day 50. When was the Torah given? Shabbos. Vus titzach du. The Torah was given on the 51st day. I hate to break it to you. We got it wrong. We observed, good question, right? Or you're shaking your head. It's a great question. If the Jews left Egypt on a Thursday, which means that the 15th was a Thursday, which means that the 16th, which is the day 1 of counting, is on a Friday, and we know that the Torah was given on a Shabbos, turns out it's on the 51st. Shavuos is on the 51st. Eisen Akasha. Anybody disagree? This is you're not like astounded enough. I'm not saying this clearly enough.
It doesn't sound like he's asking a question. He's just.
How could it be? How could it be? Umasha hiksha kosha od. Kosha means it's difficult. It's a difficulty. Is it a difficulty? Torah is given on the 51st. I got to go back to my day school and have to ask for a tuition remission. I need it back. I need to get my money back because they told me it was all wrong. Now listen to the answer. Kvartirates hayud mem. Hayud mem. Who is hayud mem? Turns out, what? Hayesh mefarshim is not a name of a person. That's a good possibility. Good possibility. Turns out, and you'll see in a second how I know, Hayud Mem is a sefer called Asara Ma'amoros. Yud Ma'amoros. There's a sefer written by Rabbi Menachem Azaria Afano, who was an Italian halachist and Kabbalist, who wrote a sefer called Asara Ma'amoros. And he says, quoted here by the Magen Avraham, listen to this. This is really going to shock you. The Bo Lirmos Lanu Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golios. Where are we now? Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golios. The whole Shavuos is Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golios. That's the 51st, right? 50th is the first day of Shavuos. The 51st is the second day of Shavuos. The Bo Lirmos Lanu Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golios. So the Chok Yaakov. Right at the bottom, the next text, Rabbi Yaakov Reisher, who lived into the 18th century. You see, it's underlined. Asara ma'amoros. He asks the question, what are you talking about? It was given on the 51st. What's his answer? V'tirates. Next line where it's underlined. The bo lirmos lanu yom tov sheni shel golios. Tirutz ze tamua. This is like jaw-dropping. This is totally incomprehensible. The imkain yihye yom hasheni ikar hayamtiv. The whole thing is about the second day. Bitmiya, it's a wonder. Ubenei Eretz Yisrael sha'osin rak yom rishon ma'yikal meimar. By the time you're done with Shavuos, Torah wasn't given yet. It was given tomorrow. So what is this? What is Israel? What does the Asara Ma'amoros mean? As I fragt, the Heilige Chok Yaakov. The Holy Chok Yaakov, the author of this commentary, questions Rabbi Gombiner and says it doesn't make any sense. So that's my first question. My first question is the question of the Magen Avraham, and the answer of Rabbi Fano, Menachem Azaria Mifano, which is a town in Italy, 17th century Italy, makes no sense. Yom Tov Sheni? In America, nobody likes Yom Tov Sheni. I was a rabbi for 35 years. If I would have told my balabatim, Shengenik Yom Tov Sheni, I would have had a life contract at the age of 6. Because that's on the list of things, The Gemara says at the beginning of Maseches Beitza, Anan Bekiyan Bekvia Deyarcha, we know already how this is going to shake down. What are you talking, Yom Tov Sheni? And now all of a sudden, Yom Tov Sheni becomes the paradigmatic day on which we celebrate Shavuos. It makes no sense. Question number 1. Question number 2, the bottom of page 2. There's a Gemara at the beginning of Tractate Rosh Hashanah on 6b at the bottom. And the Gemara says underline, Kiddatani Reb Shmaya. Atzeres, the holiday of Shavuot, Pa'amim Hey, Pa'amim Shisha, Pa'amim Shiva. The holiday of Shavuos can actually fall on the 5th of the month of Sivan, on the 6th of the month of Sivan, or on the 7th of the month of Sivan. There are 3 options. How does it work? Ketzad? Because it depends on how many days are Nisan and Iyar. Like today, we got it all worked out. We know exactly. We know the calendar has already been established. In ancient times, it all depended upon witnesses who saw the sliver of the new moon going to the high court, and the high court would say, Mekudesh HaChodesh, the high court would determine, the Sanhedrin would determine when Rosh Chodesh is. So it could be, conceivably possible, that Nisan has 30 days and Iyar has 30 days. If Nisan and Iyar have 30 days and you count 50, you're going to end up on the 5th. If Nisan and Iyar have 29 days, you're going to end up on the 7th. If one has 29 days and one has 30 days, you're going to end up on the 6th. As I state in Gemara, this is what the Talmud tells us. Question number 2 is what? One of the options is, what's the first option? The 5th. The 5th? Nobody says that the Torah was given on the 5th. I just showed you the previous page. What's the disagreement? One says the 6th, and one says the 7th. The 5th, man b'char shmei, whoever mentioned the 5th. So you're telling me that it's possible to celebrate Shavuos on the 5th. Hi, Agitten Yom Tiv, Chag Sameach, come to my house, a shtickle of cheesecake, and we're done, and nobody says the Torah was given. We're in and out before anything. What's going on? What's going on? In fact, the Gemara says on the top of page 3, there's a Gemara Maseches Psachim on the top right of page 3. The Gemara simply assumes Hakol Modim Ba'atzeres the Be'ina Nami Lochem. So machlokas in the Gemara, there's a disagreement about how one should spend one's time on various holidays. So is it okay to enjoy the holiday? Is it important only to study Torah on the holiday? And there's a disagreement, and one opinion says, you should really divide it, a shtickle of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then continues Rabbi Lazar, and says that when it comes to Shavuos, you have to be able to enjoy, because Yom Shenitna Bo Torah, it's the day the Torah was given. But wait a minute. Wasn't necessarily the day the Torah was given. I just read to you a Talmudic passage that says that the 5th is an option. Nobody says that the Torah was given on the 5th. The Sefer HaChinuch on the bottom right of page 3, the Sefer HaChinuch was written in Spain in the 14th century. We don't really know too much about the author. His name was Rabbi Aharon, and we know that he lived in Barcelona. And we know from his introduction that he had problem with the son, because the son, Epis, didn't drink the Kool-Aid yet, and he was a shtickle famish, and he would pushtak, as when I was young here in Israel, we used to say pushtak on the corner of Yafo and George. That was like the Avia Voisatuma. Today it's more Ben Yehuda than it is over there. So he'd spend Shabbos afternoon hanging out, and his father was upset. So his father wrote him a book about the different mitzvahs that are in the Torah, so he'll have something constructive to do on Shabbos afternoon. We come to mitzvah number 309, Shelo Lasos Malacha B'Yom Chag Shavuos. We shouldn't do Malacha on Shavuos. Shezehu Yom Shishi B'Sivan. It's on the 6th of the Sivan. Just assumes that it's on the 6th of Sivan. And the Minchas Chinuch, who wrote a commentary on the Sefer HaChinuch, bottom left, says, I don't understand. I'll read it and translate it. Where it's underlined, Bizman HaRe'iyah, during the time when the Beis HaMikdash was standing and the determination of the new moon was made by the court. It was not prefixed, but it was determined on an ongoing basis. Eino tolu chag zeh b'yamei hachodesh. This holiday was not at all associated with the day of the month. Rag chamishim l'sfira. It was the 50th counting from Sfira. Upa'amim, sometimes it was on the 5th, and sometimes it was on the 6th, and sometimes it was on the 7th. So why does the author of the Sefer HaChinuch just assume biblically, this is the Oraisa biblically, that it was on the 6th? Maybe it wasn't on the 6th. We just saw a Talmudic passage that says maybe it was on the 5th. So what is happening here? Question number one is, the Torah was given on the 51st day. Question number two is, the Torah was given maybe on the 5th. How does one thing have to relate to something else? I thought they told me in pre-K that Shavuos is, I'm celebrating the giving of the Torah. So no, I'm not. I'm not celebrating the giving of the Torah. Torah wasn't given yet. Torah is given tomorrow. Torah is not given today. On the next page, I bring you from the Marshan Avodah Zarah, and here's my answer. Here is my answer, and I'm going to say something heretical. And I'm going to say something as follows. Shavuos is not about the giving of the Torah. So I'm going to say it again, or maybe I really shouldn't say it again because I just slipped it in and maybe you weren't listening to what I just said. Shavuos is not about the giving of the Torah. You know what Shavuos is about? Preparing to receive the Torah. The whole holiday of Shavuos is a din in hachana. It's a din in preparation. When was the Torah given? Tomorrow, not today. Why am I celebrating today? Because I am preparing for tomorrow. Look at the Marsha. The Marsha says at the bottom of page 4, Ulefisha biyom nun nigmara hata'ara shezochinu achar kach biyom nun aleph lekabel haTorah. Since on the 50th we reached a level of sanctity which allowed us to therefore be able to be in a position to tomorrow receive the Torah. Therefore, Kavah Hashem Yisbarach also Yom Chamishim L'Chag Shavuos. Therefore, it's on the 50th and not on the day it was given. Ki Yiras Chet Kodem L'Chachma B'Mala U'Bizman. The Torah gives me wisdom. Piety precedes wisdom. Yiras Chet, connection with God, appreciating the centrality of God in our lives, that comes before wisdom. Wisdom is predicated and matters when we are in the proper frame of mind. The holiday of Shavuos is all about preparing to receive the Torah. That's what we're celebrating on Shavuos. It's not receiving the Torah. Because we received it tomorrow. Magen Avraham says it was on the 51st. He's right. Jews left Egypt on a Thursday, start counting on a Friday, end up 51 is Shabbos. The Torah was given on the 51st. Number two, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says, could be on the 5th. It's all about preparation. It's about putting yourself in a frame of mind. When I think about this, this is what Reb Shia Twersky, Zechrono Levracha, really embodied for me. And for all of us who knew him and respected him so much, not just as a psychiatrist and as a medical doctor and as an author of 75 books. When we came into the house, like there was a whole bookcase of just books, and he gave us like 2 or 3 of them. It's amazing. But what's the core? The core is to understand where we are and who we are in the context of our relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam. It's not so much about knowing, it's about experiencing. And that's what Hachana is. Hachana means to prepare. Yiras Chet is Kodem L'Chachma. The whole Shavuos hate to break it to you, is not about getting, it's about preparing. Now let's go to the next page, to the holiday of Sukkot. It's an amazing medrash when it comes to Sukkot. The pasuk says, "L'kachtem lochem," when it comes to the mitzvos of Arba Minim, "L'kachtem lochem bayom harishon." Anybody want to chime in? Pri Eitz Hadar, Kapos Tamarim, and Afetz Avos, V'arvei Nachal. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the 4 species, the lulav, the esrog. This is the pasuk that requires us to take the 4 species. What day are we referring to here? Ulakachtem lachem bayom harishon, the first day. So the rabbis wonder, what's the first day? The Torah never talks about the first day of the holiday. How does the Torah define? Thank you so much. You're a tzaddik. You're a tzaddik. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyeh b'dvaro. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. How does the Torah normally define a holiday? By the day of the month in which the holiday appears. On the 7th month on the 1st, on the 7th month on the 10th, the 7th month on the 15th, the 1st month of Nisan on the 15th. What do you mean the 1st? It's not the 1st. It should be referred to as the 15th. The first day of Sukkot is the 15th. What do you mean the 1st? So the Medrash answers, Rishon lecheshbon avonos. How do you translate that? The first for the accounting of sins. What does that mean? Until the first day of Sukkot, who could sin? You can't sin. The year started, Rosh Hashanah? I'm going to sin on Rosh Hashanah. It's Rosh Hashanah. And then I have Aseret Yemei Tshuva, I have the 10 days of penitence. And I have the Sabbath of penitence. I have Shabbat Tshuva. 10 days of Tshuva. I'm doing Tshuva. I'm not, who could sin? And then I come to Erev Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur. And then I come to Kol Nidrei night. And then I come to Yom Kippur. And then I come to Ne'ilah. Who could sin? Can't sin. And then, right after Yom Kippur, I'm preparing for Sukkot. I'm running around looking for, and I'm running into the shuk, and I'm going to this salesman and this salesman, and I'm checking the lulav, and I'm checking the blitis, and I'm checking the zaydalach. I'm making sure I got a good set. And the sukkah, and I have to make sure, and there's a tree from last year. I'm very busy. I can't sit. Now, it's the first day of Sukkot. Oh, now I could sin. Now I'm done. Now I could sin. As I state in Medrash. Rishon lecheshbon avonos. Till now I can't sin. It's too holy. I'm too busy. Now I could sin. Frek the Helagataz in the bottom in the middle of page 5. Turei Zahav, Reb David Alevi, 17th century commentary on the Code of Jewish Law. Elo dekosha lefi zeh, lama be'emes yihye odif ha'hachona lahamitzvah shel sukkah min hayom atzmo. It doesn't make any sense. When I'm running around and I'm finding the 4 species, and when I'm running around and making sure I have a kosher sukkah, can't sin. But oh my God, it's Sukkot. I'm being mekayim the mitzvah. I'm holding it. I'm sitting in the sukkah. Now I could sin? Why is it that preparing won't allow me to sin? But the actual holiday itself, no problem, will allow me to sin. So the Eiligas Fasemes on the bottom left, one of the greatest Chassidish Rebbes, quotes the question and says as follows. Avo, ein hadavar rachok. You know what? It makes a lot of sense, he says. It's not so far-fetched to think sheyoser koach v'hatzola yesh behachonas hamitzvah miguf kiyum hamitzvah. You know what? It's logical. The preparation is even more fraught with sanctity than the actual fulfillment itself. Why? He says for two reasons. Ha'echad ki asiyas hamitzvah hu rak l'sha'ah v'ha'hachana hu la'olam. Think about this for a second. Think about this for ourselves and our own lives. How long does it take to do the mitzvah of arba minim, of the 4 species? How long does it take? It takes exactly what?
A second.
It takes a second. Because the Gemara has this huge problem. How we have a principle that we have to make the bracha before we do the act. Says the Gemara, what am I going to do when it comes to the arba minim? Mida'ag behei, nofak behei. As soon as I pick it up, I fulfilled it already. When it's on the table, it's too much of a gap. If I start holding it, I'm done. In a second, I'm done. Preparing for the mitzvah of arba minim, it's not just running around and making sure that you don't have aravas that have jagged edges, or the hadassim, all 3 of them pop out of the same spot in the middle of the spine. It's not just that, it's a lifetime. We bring the totality of our religious experiences into the mitzvah. It's a whole lifetime. Like now, when we're learning, we're preparing ourselves in a proper frame of mind to be able to worship God appropriately. It's a whole lifetime. It's a composite bringing together of all of our experiences. Our lives are a preparation. The act, done. Mida'ag behena, in a split second, we're done. Achana, la'olam, it's forever. It is the story of our Jewish lives and the way we comport ourselves that one day leads to another and builds on another and creates a sense of connection, a sense of relationship, a sense of solemnity in terms of the way we relate to the Rabbona Shalom. Second answer he gives, va'od, and this is a little scary, ki mi yuchal lekayim ha-mitzvah ki-mishpata. At the end of the day, how do I know I got it right? How do I know I got it right? I ran around for 3 hours trying to get an exact, perfect lulav and esrog, but I forgot that there's a pesashtikal, a pegia, that it's a little bit this, and then maybe, I don't know. And I forgot, I took the lulav and I traced the shedra all the way up because it's supposed to be close together all the way up at the top. But I don't know, I didn't even see that there's a pesahora, a shtikala, something, and maybe it's not really exactly correct. I tried. But when it comes to preparing for the mitzvah, you can't go wrong. Because if you live an exalted life, that's what we're supposed to do. So it's daunting, a shtikala frightening. You never know. I never know exactly if I did the mitzvah 100%. I was sitting there with the matzah on Seder night, and I got 9 minutes, and I have to get it in, and I gotta lean over, and I can't talk, and oh my God, it was 9 minutes and 4 seconds, and that's a problem. Or Zolgota Pieten Nebach, like I have 18 minutes before Shabbos, and then my clock was slow, and this, and but Hachana is always correct. Because that's an authentic, internal, fundamentally meaningful and valuable experience. So when it comes to the Yom Tov of Sukkot, what's the nakuda? What is the point of Sukkot? It's the preparation. I can't sin when I'm preparing. I could sin on Sukkot. It's not as holy. It doesn't encompass me with the full totality like the preparation does. Preparation is so fundamentally central because preparation means it matters to me. It means I want to get it right. It means that I care about my relationship to God. It's not perfunctory. This is not like a monkey. This is not like a robot. This is Vasagate Miran, because it matters to me. That's amazing. That's what Sukkot is all about. And I'm arguing that that's what Shavuos is all about. And now I'm going to argue that's what Shabbos is all about. What is Shabbos all about? When are we davening? 9 o'clock? I'm not going to go till 9. You'll be meichel me. I'm going to drink another water. 1 second. Shabbos. So what's today? Hayom Yom Rishon B'Shabbos. Hayom, we said it this morning. Hayom Rishon B'Shabbos. Tomorrow, Hayom Yom B'Shabbos. What does that mean? That Shabbos is coming in a couple of days, but already now, I'm already thinking, we're getting close to Shabbos. We're getting close to Shabbos. What does it mean to be a Shomer Shabbos? If I ask you to define for me, and I'm asking you, define for me, define what it means to be a Shomer Shabbos, what would you say? What? Hey, what? Not doing malacha when? On Shabbos. A Shomer Shabbos, anybody else want to hazard a definition? A Sabbath observer. I'm a Sabbath observer. You know, colloquially, when it comes to, let's say, trusting somebody's kashrus. So if somebody's a Shomer Shabbos, they have like a cheskas kashrus, they have a certain presumption of piety. If they're a Shomer Shabbos, they're a Sabbath observer. When am I a Sabbath observer? When am I a Sabbath observer? On Shabbos, I'm a Shomer Shabbos. I observe Shabbos. I don't do any malach. Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik on the top right of page 6 once pointed out that he was okay in America. He came to America in Boston in 1932. He became the rabbi in Boston. And when he first came, there was really not that much Sabbath observance going on in Boston, as there wasn't too much going on across America. But over the course of time, due in no small measure to him and to many other Gedolei Yisrael, to many other great, great rabbis, people became Shomerei Shabbos. More people became Sabbath observers. And he said here in this quote that my heart doesn't so much ache for Sabbath observers. My heart aches for Erev Shabbos Jews. What is an Erev Shabbos Jew? He defines an Erev Shabbos Jew, someone who is so excited about the arrival of Shabbos, who's looking forward to Shabbos, whose heart beats in the anticipation of Shabbos. That's what he doesn't see in America. Baruch Hashem, he sees more and more Shomerei Shabbos. Hold that definition. So we're talking now about preparing for Shabbos. The Shem Shmuel on the bottom right of page 6 says a very fundamental principle in the name of his father. I will read it and translate it. Shehash'arat HaKedusha achar avor yemei HaKedusha, the extent to which sanctity remains after the day of sanctity is completed, that there is this afterglow. That afterglow is directly contingent on lefi masat ha'achana shelafaneha. The extent to which I prepare before inheres that day with sanctity, and therefore will give it that much more to be able to continue. And so, bottom left, the Kedushas Levi, Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, Ubevadai, beginning of the next line, Kefi hachana rabba kol sheshes yemei hama'asa al Shabbos, Kefi asher ya'aseh hachanaso, kein tihiyeh hasagaso. I will appreciate it, and it will have an after effect directly related to the amount of time, energy, and forethought that I put into preparing for it. And so there is this concept that the day of the week are divided in half. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday belong to the previous Shabbos. How do I know that Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday belong to the previous Shabbos? This is a halachic question, because if for whatever reason I do not do what? Make Havdalah on Motzai Shabbos, I have until Tuesday afternoon to make Havdalah, because till Tuesday I'm looking backwards. Starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's already preparing for the next Shabbos. So in a sense, the week, the structure of the week really is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then Shabbos is in the middle, and then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is the after Shabbos. So we got it all wrong. It should be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the build-up, Shabbos is the apex, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is a retrospective that we're looking backwards. Which brings me to something that for years I wondered, and then I think I understood. Look at the top of page 7. I mentioned before that every day there is, at the end of Shachris, there is a chapter of Tehillim that is recited. There's the Sunday chapter and the Monday chapter and the Tuesday chapter, and they are all introduced by Hayom, Yom, Rishon, V'Shabbos. So in a sense, even though Sunday and Monday and Tuesday are looking backwards, but we're not only looking backwards, we're already anticipating the arrival of the forthcoming Shabbos. Every single one of them has one parak in Tehillim. Every single, what we call Yom, the parak in Tehillim that we say on every single day at the end of davening, but here in Israel it's really not at the end of davening because there's an Ein Kelokeinu. I'm getting used to that I used to think I'm done when I hear the Yom, but I got all fayushkit because we're not done yet. Don't leave. We got work to do. But it's one chapter with one exception, and that is Wednesday. On Wednesday, and I bring it to you at the top of page 7, the Yom for Wednesday is Kel Nakamos Hashem, Kel Nakamos Sophia, chapter 94 in the book of Psalms. And all of a sudden on Wednesday, we do something that we never do any other day of the week. We bleed into the next chapter. Not Shabbos, not Sunday, not Monday, not Tuesday, not Thursday, not Friday. Every other day of the week, it's one parak. Done. Here, it's one parak plus. What's the next parak? L'chuna ranano l'Hashem nariya l'tzor yeshenu nekama fana b'saida v'zmiras nariya lai. Why? Why don't we do on Wednesday what we do every other day of the week? So the Tzelusa Davram says, because the ending is not nice. The last pasuk, it's not a happy pasuk. Vayoshev aleim, there's pain, there's suffering, there's evil, there's bitterness, pasnish. So we do what we do, for example, in Eicha. Next week, we're going to read Eicha. What's the last pasuk in Eicha? Ki im ma'os ma'astanu katzafta aleinu ad ma'od. You were mean to us, and you didn't like us, and you got angry at us. No. I don't want to end the book on a bad note. So what do we all do? You remember from last year? Hashivenu. Now, that's warm and fuzzy. Shivenu Hashem elecha v'nashuva. Chadesh, that's an ending. Talk about God being angry, I mean, it's not an end. So the same thing says the Tzelusa Davram, famous Chassidish Parish on the Siddur. The ending is not nice, so we want to end with something nicer. I don't think that's the reason. Maybe the reason. I think there's maybe another reason. I'll be a little more modest. I think the other reason is because all of a sudden somebody woke up and said, oh my God, what's today? Wednesday. What's Wednesday? The beginning of looking towards Shabbos. How am I going to telegraph to you that Wednesday Shabbos is coming? What am I going to do? As soon as you hear L'chuna Ranana, where does you go? It's Friday night, it's Kabbalah Shabbos. Wednesday is Kabbalah Shabbos. You want me to know that Wednesday I have to turn and look towards Shabbos? I'm going to tell you that the Yom of Wednesday, I woke up and I said, just keep going. This is in the 16th century when they first instituted. When they first instituted this, somebody woke up and said, not a big sweat, just add a few psukim. And there's no greater way and no more profound way to telegraph that Shabbos is coming. I am very makbid. That means I'm very focused on always saying you should have a good Erev Shabbos. So on Friday, for example, I wish whoever I meet should have a good Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is something. When I walk into shul for mincha on Friday afternoon, and I'm walking in for mincha, I wish everybody have a good Erev Shabbos. Shabbos is in 12 minutes, but it's not Shabbos yet. It's still Erev Shabbos. Then I started in the shul that I daven in New Jersey, and in Mirz Hashem in Yerushalayim. On Wednesday, and the shul has taken this over, I wish everybody you should have, we leave shul Wednesday morning, Afreilichen L'chuna Ranana. You should all have a joyous L'chuna Ranana. And now it's taken over. So maybe you'll consider, Afreilichen L'chuna Ranana. Because Shabbos is coming. Shabbos is coming, L'chuna Ranana. The Lubavitcher Rebbe I found in one of the Sichos at the bottom of page 7 refers to the L'chuna Ranana on Wednesday as dem Kleinim L'chuna Ranana. The small L'chuna Ranana. There's a Gesundta L'chuna Ranana. It's a robust L'chuna Ranana on Friday night, and this is a small one. Because what are we doing all week? What are we doing all week on Shabbos? We're not just observing Shabbos. Today's Sunday night. We're thinking about Shabbos already. Tomorrow morning, we're going to say Hayom Yom Sheni B'Shabbos. And on Wednesday, we're going to say L'chuna Ranana. Did you ever realize we say L'chuna Ranana on Wednesday? Mitten Derinin. I'm saying L'chuna Ranana. Because Shabbos is coming, because Shabbos is not just observing Shabbos. Shabbos is building up to Shabbos. And the more you build up, the more you get out of Shabbos. And the longer the glow and the substance and the meaning of Shabbos will last. If you just back into it, you back in, you back out, garnished. If you think about it, Shabbos comes, oh my God, it's Shabbos. And then it stays a little bit longer. Last thought. He's a Gewaldiger, Rabbi Avraham Yehoshua Heschel. Sounds familiar, Me'apta, the Apta Rav. The Apta Rav, and I say this, Lu'ilu Nishmas Rav Avram Yeshua Heschel ben Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael, Rabbi Dr. Twersky Zachrono Levracha, Avraham Yehoshua Heschel, the Apta Rav, 19th century. He was a Chassidish Rebbe. It's fascinating. He was known not as the Apta Rebbe, he was known as the Apta Rav, the Apta Rav. He was a massive Talmud Chacham. He wrote a sefer called Oyev Yisrael. The Avodah of the Apta Rav, the Oyev Yisrael, was to find Avas Yisrael in every parsha. This sefer, it's called Oyev Yisrael, and the major focus is, where is Avas Yisrael in this parsha? Parenthetically, I'll tell you a story. It was Friday night Parshas Balak. It was Friday night Parshas Balak and Apt. And the Chassidim are sitting around the Tish, and the Apta Rav is sitting at the front of the Tish, and he's quiet. And we sing Tzechinter, and we're singing a little bit, and they sing Zmiris, and they sing more Zmiris. They're waiting for the Rebbe to say something. The Rebbe doesn't say anything. Finally, one of the Chassidim says, no, Rebbe, Vu is Avas Yisrael and Parshas Balak. Where do we find loving Jews? So the Rebbe looks up. Loving Jews in Parshas Balak? What? You need me to tell you where it is? Balak is an acronym, Rashi Tevis, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Balak. So what? I don't need any chedushim. So you understand what happened? The Chassidim looked at him like you're looking at me. What happened to you? Right? This is a Beis, and this is a Vav, and this is a Kuf. But the Chassidim know, the Rebbe knows how to spell. So nobody has enough. Finally, one of the Chassidim, Aber Rebbe, senitazai. Senitazai. It's not like this. So the story goes, the Rebbe slammed his hand on the table and he says, Kinderlach, you've misunderstood my children. You've misunderstood everything I ever wanted to teach you. Because, and I have to say it in Yiddish because we're living now in Apt, weil everything I wanted to teach you was, as wenn ze kommt zu Avos Yisrael, seid nicht medaktik in the oisius. When it comes to loving other Jews, don't get too picky. Don't get too, this a vav and a ben, no, your tzitzis aren't big enough and your shaitel isn't big enough. You know, you this and that, and you don't say shakel ishmona esrei is long. Give it up. Give it up, just forget about it. Love Jews, period. Don't be medaktik in the oisius. This was Rabbi Avraham Yehoshua Heschel the Apter Rav. And it comes to Parshas Kisisa, and he says the following. He says, Be'emes ro'i, top of page 8, with this thought I conclude. Be'emes ro'i v'nochem, where the arrow is. He said, in truth, it is proper and appropriate for every thoughtful Jew, lasum el libo, to take it to heart, litzapot uliyachel kol yemei hachol, to look forward to yearn all week, lihiyot mishomer Shabbos, to be a shomer Shabbos. And what's the proof text? Kemo, the aviv, shamar, es hadavar. What's the aviv, shamar, es hadavar? You remember the story? Yosef has dreams. And he starts to tell the dreams to his brothers and his father, and his brothers, his brothers are upset. But the Aviv, Yaakov, Shamar es hadavar. What does Shin Mem Resh mean in that context? Quoted by the Apter Rav when he's describing what it means to be a Shomer Shabbos. Look at Rashi. I brought you the text in the middle of the page. Shamar es hadavar haya mamtin umitzapeh masayavo. He was waiting. He was looking forward to. What does it mean to be a Shomer Shabbos, says the Apter? When Shabbos comes, it's too late to be a Shomer Shabbos. A Shomer Shabbos is not a Sabbath observer. A Shomer Shabbos is someone who looks forward to Shabbos, who's plotting, can't wait for Shabbos to come. Where else do we find Shin Mem Resh on the night of Pesach? The bottom pasuk twice in Parshas Bo, Leil Shimurim. Pesach is Leil Shimurim. There are many interpretations. So look at Rashi. Shahaya HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bottom left, page 8. Shomer umitzapelo lekayim haftachaso. Looking forward. What does it really mean to be a Shomer Shabbos? To be a Shomer Shabbos is not to observe the Sabbath on the Sabbath. A Shomer Shabbos is, tonight is Sunday night. Now we are being Shomer Shabbos. Right now, because we're thinking about Shabbos. If we say Hayom Yom Sheni b'Shabbos, Hayom Yom Shlishi b'Shabbos, we're thinking about Shabbos. That's a Shomer Shabbos. Rabbi Soloveitchik had it wrong. You remember I told you earlier, Rabbi Soloveitchik said, when it comes to Shomer Shabbos, we're okay. What am I missing? My heart pines for the Erev Shabbos Jew. According to the Apter, it's Dafka, the Erev Shabbos Jew, who's the real Shomer Shabbos. That's a Shomer Shabbos. When Shabbos comes, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but I'm not a Shomer Shabbos. Shomer means Rashi in Bereshis, Rashi in Shmos, the Rashbam in Shmos, Mamtin umetzapeh, that's what it means to be a Shomer Shabbos. And so Lu'ilui Nishmas, Rabbi Dr. Abraham J. Twersky, Zechron Levracha, Rabbi Avraham Yehoshua Heschel, Ben Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael. Shavuos is about preparing for Shavuos. Didn't happen yet. It's happening tomorrow. The Marsha says it's about sanctity, it's about purity. It's about preparing myself. Yiras Chet, Kodem L'Chachma. Sukkos is about preparing. Because when I'm preparing, I'm not sinning. When do I start sinning? When I'm observing. Then I start to sin. Then I grace a knacker. Now I could sin. Till now you can't sin. You're preparing. It's all about the preparation. What's Shabbos? What's Shabbos? You don't just parachute into Shabbos. You prepare for Shabbos. You think about Shabbos. You anticipate Shabbos. You look forward to Shabbos. You think about Shabbos. And the more you think about it, the more meaningful it is, and the more lasting it is. This emphasis on the pnimius, on the internal, not just the behavior. Obviously, we can't negotiate with the behavior. We have a mitzvahs that we have to do. That is not negotiable, and that is a requirement. But that's not the whole story. Part of that story, an important part of that story, is to couple the behavior with the inner experience. And that's what we learned from Rabbi Dr. Twersky. It's not just getting it done. It's about living it. It's about feeling it. It's about experiencing it. We're now in the 9 days. We're coming up to Tisha B'Av. What's Tisha B'Av? Is Tisha B'Av just sitting on the floor and saying the words of the keynotes? You know, we're going through the motions, and then we say Nachem. That's not what it is. It's about an experience. It's not just doing, and it's not just refraining from doing. We're not having meat anymore. We got a whole week of milchiks. Okay, Megitza Chanetza, you know, you figure it out. Baruch Hashem, we're not going to starve. They're wonderful milchiks. And some people fumfa through and make some kind of a siyum. I was always opposed to these siyumim. I'm not in favor. Because we got to feel something. You're going to fool me. You're going to trick God. You're going to trick, because on the stake on Wednesday, I'm going to die. I can't live without the steak. So I'm going to make a harama, a fumfa, hina, maisa, siyum, and I'm going to invite 100 people who never saw the inside of a Gemara. They're going to stuff themselves with asado and pulled beef. It's in 9 days. The 9 days isn't just faking it. The 9 days is experiencing it, and that's what this is really all about. Thank you for coming. Le'ili Nishmas Rav Avram, Yoshua Heschel ben Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael, Nechama to Gail, Nechama to the members of the Mishpacha. His neshama should have an aliyah, and his teachings should continue to enlighten us and inspire us.